you never forget 9/11, but you remember the Alamo, so that's
I'm
different.
live, guys. Don't say anything weird.
Oh,
Oklahoma City, that was April 19th too. I was thinking that it
Oh,
was the
so
20th.
Jola, what do you think about the whistleblower from the National Labor Relations Board coming out saying that he found IP connections to Russia after Doge did their data dump?
Sorry. So, the whistleblower.
NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board.
That's crazy. I was just reading a voicemail I got over the night, where someone messaged me. They said, "I want to call in to talk about the federal whistleblower right now." That's crazy. As you said that, I read that at the same time. Oh yeah, but it's crazy.
That is wild.
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, there's two of them. So there's that one from the NLRB, and then the two Pentagon whistleblowers that got escorted out and put on a leave after they revealed that Musk was supposed to be in attendance to a meeting regarding future war plans or future
China.
conflict plans with
China.
China.
Yeah.
And,
But
You
the
guys
people
hyped
with the
the
signal
nuclear
stuff were
weapons?
not removed.
had
It's
arranged
awesome.
it.
I'm really happy they replaced like very qualified black people in the government with like the least qualified white people possible to really show they're committed to DEI.
don't
That's
forget
true.
the Asian 12-year-olds also.
So
That's true.
what would even Elon have to do with involving with China?
Nothing. There was no reason why he should be in on that meeting, and that's why they promptly canceled it after word got out because
Who cares about
it
Taiwan?
literally is just he's a Chinese asset. 1000%. He is a Chinese asset.
No,
What?
he's trying to bring back apartheid.
Yeah. No, Elon's a fucking China hater, bro. There's like he's like beefing with China because like China.
Is that why he reaffirmed
Taiwan.
the
I think Musk wants
socialist
Taiwan.
values of China?
But he needs to do that to sell
Tesla?
there. That's their
Yeah,
law.
he
So
would.
he needs to do that to sell
Comment
there.
yes to
Or to
affirm.
build there, I mean. But
Yeah,
he wants
no, 'cause,
Taiwan. He talks
he's
about
been-
Taiwan all the time.
I mean, what's it called? He's been beefing with China for a while because he says the fucking CCP stole his IP or some shit, like womp womp.
Womp womp. No, he wants to end IP
Either
laws.
way,
He wants to end
he
IP
doesn't have
laws,
any.
dude.
He doesn't have any security clearance. There's no reason why he should have been in on that meeting.
Man, that shit doesn't mean anything anymore. I mean, all of our government data has been exposed for the past like Russia has everything about the U.S. ever. So all of our nuclear stockpiles, all of our agents in different countries, like everyone. I mean, if we get into a war, like our agents throughout the world are screwed because of this.
I mean, we're never gonna go to war because if we go to war, it means the end of the world. So,
Not necessarily.
I think.
No,
Well, no, yeah.
a
If we go to
particularly dangerous thing is that two nuclear powers go to war and just agree to do the war and not send any nukes to each other, and then regular conventional warfare is back on the table, which is honestly, I mean, almost as bad as like a nuclear battle or war, because it just means we still have nukes, but mutually assured destruction is not deterring war.
Imagine Elon Musk just like going crazy and just like sending the Doge team with the private security taking over our systems to fire weapons though. Like it takes one crazy guy, but there's usually checks and balances even in authoritarian countries. But somehow, I feel like the U.S. right now is even more unstable than actual dictatorships than China.
So different executive agencies, it's a lot easier for them to come in and just like steamroll over. When we're talking about like sensitive military systems,
yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna let them anywhere near it.
There is some deep state there. I mean, and that's a good thing. Deep state, I mean, it's a good thing, bro. Like apparently, every time they say deep state, they mean good things. They want to kill. So
real. I'm like from what I remember, I'm pretty sure Russia has more checks on fucking launching nukes than the United States does.
Well, they threaten nuclear warfare every month, don't they?
Well, yeah, but the actual process for Russia launching nukes, it's not like the fucking president says launch the nukes and it's like a go. Pretty sure like the commanding officers under the president and also like if it's like on a nuclear submarine or something.
The process you're talking about is true, but I believe that the president of Russia can still unilaterally fire.
Can they? I thought they couldn't.
I think so like the generals can't do anything without the word of the president of Russia. So they have to confer with him and like all of command beforehand. But I think ultimately he could just be like fire the nukes.
Because I remember reading something about like Russia, the generals needing to consent for it to fire, which is why Russia never fire nukes or some shit like
Well,
that.
yeah, they need it
But-
Well,
from
there was
command
a-
and Putin or whoever is the president at the time.
I thought differently because wasn't there a submarine near the U.S. and they were getting
that
depth charged?
was during wartime, and they had orders that if they lost contact or something, they had ordered they could launch their nukes if they felt appropriate. And because they were still submerged, they didn't have contact to actually like call back to Russia and be like, "Hey, is this a nuclear launch?"
Russia owns America. That's crazy. Imagine just like you just can steal the attributes of another Pokemon. I mean, there's some things like that.
And
where it's
all
like,
it took,
Real?
yeah, now
all
they have
it
control
took
of
was
America.
one model and one P video, and that's how they got Russia. I mean, that's how they got the U.S.
Woke,
True.
wokeism. All they had to say was woke. Putin says the same stuff too. It's crazy. Like Putin
Yeah.
talks like yeah.
I mean, yeah, but they're both fascists. Like Putin's fucking political ideology is based heavily off of fucking Alexander Dugin, who is literally just a fascist. Sorry, fourth positionist.
A fourth
position's
position?
crazy. We're the Fourth Reich, by the way. We are the Fourth
They're
Reich, aren't
going
we?
beyond the
Isn't
third
America the Fourth
position,
Reich
bro.
though? Aren't we the Fourth Reich though? Like
No, bro, that's
unironically?
Angela Merkel.
You saying Angela Merkel was the Fourth Reich? No, I think we're closer to being
That's
the
crazy.
Fourth Reich.
But
if
wasn't the
anything.
first
I
or
don't-
second Rome?
We're not in full Reich status yet.
What was the
Jolah.
first one? Rome? Was it Holy Rome or was it another
Yeah.
empire?
Holy Roman Empire is the first Reich,
It-
German
Okay.
Empire is
Yeah.
the second Reich, Nazi.
And that's
the
why they
third
love the
Reich,
Roman
Angela
imagery, right?
Merkel.
But okay, that campaign on social media where they said like, ask your boyfriend about ancient Rome. He's not gonna stop talking. Like, is that
How
Nazi
many times a day
propaganda?
do you think about ancient
No,
Rome?
it's not. That's just the what's it called? Like like the fucking boys can't stop thinking about ancient Rome meme.
Yeah,
It's
I
not-
know,
it's
but
not
is
a
that
it's not
is
a
that
Nazi propaganda.
somewhat from that lineage of being obsessed with the militarized power from back then and
Kind
the supremacy of it?
I mean,
Kind of,
fascist
yeah.
Italy
So,
loved
like-
fascist Italy loved the Roman Empire, but also boys be autistic, so I doubt it. With what I saw was like it wasn't really like fascist adjacent.
Okay,
well, it's
well,
authoritarian
yeah.
specifically. Like, so, like they don't like the Roman Senate or like the Roman Republic. They only ever think about the empire.
The umpire balls and strikes. I was thinking about that today. I made a little TikTok that got 20 views because my TikToks suck. But about like a due process and explaining it to bros, like LeBron James taking a game-winning three-pointer, and the ref says, "Oh, that was a two-pointer. Your foot's on the line." And imagine having no review process, and later on you find out that LeBron James's foot was on the line, or it was not on the line. It was a three-pointer. The refs got it wrong, and LeBron James would have won. And we should have further review if the ref makes a mistake, aka law enforcement, the government, and therefore we need due process in the real world, just like a review in a sports game to make sure they got the call right. Because in video games or basketball or not video games, oh god, don't say video. In basketball or football, you lose a game if they get the call wrong. In real life, you die. So yeah.
Well, they live in this weird quantum state where you can like implicitly trust the government, but you should also never trust the government. So
I mean,
you have to
honestly,
trust that the government is like placing the right charges on them, but you can't trust the process of the government to determine on if those charges are actually like valid.
I mean, it reminds me a lot of a quote I read, a quote from a book I read. It's like let me find it. Oh yeah,
Art
this is
of the
just a fucking
deal.
image of it.
Art
Yeah,
of the
it's
deal
like-
is so stupid, bro.
Yeah, I mean, what Joel, what you just described.
I
in
hate
Joel
that
and
they keep
Kyle.
saying that he's like
Oh.
he's so smart. He wrote the art of the deal. It's the art of the deal. He didn't even write that fucking book. It was ghostwritten for him.
Yeah, it's very
Someone said,
funny.
"Are you
But yeah,
talking about that deported guy?" No, which deported guy do you mean? Which one? There's like 200 innocent people that were sent to El Salvador prisons.
And
So we have
like
to talk about
70,
that.
I think it was like a conservative estimate of like 75% of them had no actual like criminal
You
convictions.
see the U.S. citizen getting detained today? The U.S. citizen getting detained, and they didn't believe
I
the
believe it.
documentation or whatever. What state was that in? U.S. citizen ICE detained.
I mean,
Man,
yeah,
it's
this is
almost like
just
Florida.
It's almost like we should have
Florida's
some sort of
new
like
immigration law?
guarantee that
What
we're
Florida
secure
immigration law is there?
in our properties and in our property and papers, huh? You think we'd have that guaranteed somewhere?
Wait. Okay, so due to a Florida law, they showed documentation that the person was a citizen, but the judge said, due to this new law, I cannot accept the documentation. So what is the new law Florida did? That's crazy. What is that?
Is that the Florida law you're talking about?
Yeah, Florida immigration law. They just added that made them not accept this person's citizen documentation or citizenship. Florida immigration law. After driving in from Georgia?
Senate Bill 2-C and Senate Bill 2 or 4-C, it looks like.
Senate Bill 4.
It says create a new law, crimes enhanced penalties impacting areas like in-state tuition eligibility, undocumented immigration, and treatment of undocumented immigrants convicted of capital felony.
Let me see. A county judge found no reason for him to be considered an illegal alien. It was detained. The person was detained. U.S.-born American citizen detained at the request of immigration authorities Thursday, despite an advocate showing his U.S. birth certificate. Juan Carlos Gomez Lopez is probably because of the name, and the ICE agents are racist as shit. Was arrested Thursday evening by Florida Highway Patrol. So Florida Highway Patrol arrested him and charged him under a new state immigration law that has been temporarily blocked since early this month. Details of Gomez Lopez's arrest and detention were first reported by the Florida Phoenix news site. The judge said this is indeed an authentic document, but she did not have jurisdiction beyond finding no probable cause for the charge. Okay, where's the law at?
I'm not seeing one where they changed what documentation they would accept. One that I see creates like state laws against illegal immigration, which they're not supposed to be able to do. And the second one focuses on taking away in-state tuition at public colleges and universities for illegal immigrants.
Why do they need another immigration law in Florida? Why do they need a special Florida law so they can abuse more laws?
They technically can't. So the states don't have the ability to regulate their immigration. That's wholly in the purview of the federal government.
So why are they detaining on behalf of this law then? I'm confused.
How about, are they referring to the executive order that Trump recently wrote about
it's a Florida state law? What is this? That's what the article says.
The ones I'm reading are from February of this year.
I mean, didn't Florida pass like a law? Like I remember like a couple years ago under like DeSantis passed a fucking law that was like caused like a huge portion of the Latino population to just fucking flee the state.
ICE demanded a judge keep a Florida man behind bars after he presented a birth certificate. In Florida jail, U.S.-born citizen held for entering state as unauthorized alien. What the hell, dude?
Oh shit! Are we gonna have to carry our fucking papers in between states now? Am I gonna have to go through a fucking border check when I go to Florida?
I guess so.
Bro, it's literally, bro. I can't believe like
that's so.
No. Okay, unless if you have an accent.
Anti-American. That's
he had a really
like. What's the point of us being a United States?
No, but he had a language. He spoke a different language as his first language. His first language was Mayan, I think they said, or something like that. So he had an accent, of course. Spent a lot of time in Mexico. Has that name, so they just detained him based off him being a brown person that they didn't like. Yeah.
Incredible.
So good time to be a white guy, I guess, or whatever.
Another point for why ICE should have been abolished a long ass time ago.
ICE needs a damn leash, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely the issue with that is the political thing.
Some sort of enforcement mechanism if we are going to control our immigration, but
that's a better bet politically, right?
Is that we need them on a leash. They should not be acting as like the de facto Gestapo.
That's a bar.
They really are, though. The things they're saying about like repeating the lines, "We're not bad people. We're just following what the government said." It's like, yeah, dude, you're just getting orders. You're just getting orders, bro. You're just following orders.
I'm just following fucking orders.
Yeah,
bro.
people watching, call in, guys. Call in to talk about this with me if you're watching.
It's crazy. It's
Losers.
crazy. I didn't think that I would live in a world where I would find out where you know how like there's like a hypothetical like how would you react if you were in Nazi Germany at the time of the rise of the Nazis? And I feel like we're finding out where a lot of people would have stood on that line.
I mean, yeah, again, it's literally the fucking quote I posted in the fucking VC chat. Like, it's literally this.
I mean,
Like,
there's even the whole issue where that there's certain politicians that are wanting women that are coming from like an anti-abortion state where that they're supposed to provide documentation of like are they bearing a child or not before that they go to a different state.
That's
Are
awesome.
you
So
kidding
like
me?
yeah,
No,
that's
this is an actual thing. Texas tried to
Handmaid's
pass this
Tale.
law. I think Indiana also tried to pass this law.
Florida.
Yeah, they want to. Florida did too. Yeah, they want to make sure that no one of their citizens is going out of state to get an abortion.
It's awesome.
And they want to break what is the medical information law? I'm
HIPAA.
blanking. Yeah, they want to break HIPAA and be able to use that information in order
with that,
to charge people who went over state lines to get an abortion.
That's awesome.
And then if
I love that.
if you're caught trying to go there, I forget which politician it was. I think it was the Texas one, where he said that if you didn't have
Hot Wheels.
if you didn't have the documentation upon you leaving the state, then they would detain you until that you were examined by one of their doctors.
what the fuck?
Well, states are
That's
allowed to make their own
insane.
rules.
I mean, there's such thing as freedom of movement, Joker.
Yeah,
They're not
you're not
allowed to like keep us
yeah.
from going in between states like that.
It's freedom of movement. It's property rights when you're talking about that. There's bodily autonomy
And HIPAA. Yeah, HIPAA is like the biggest one, bro. They're literally talking about looking into people's medical histories.
That is awesome. I think the biggest thing to do, I don't even know what to say anymore because it's really just all we can do is message as good as possible, get people on the right side. So when there's a little revolution, then hopefully we can not go the way we're going, you know?
I mean, there's not going to be a revolution again.
I mean,
well, we're screwed.
How
then.
do you get your
GG's.
messaging right to get through to people who just reject reality?
Well, revolution is a harsh word for it, and it needs to be a mass movement of people, but it doesn't need to be a revolution. It does not need to be.
We're having a mass movement. It's called MAGA.
Oh my goodness. I mean, again,
we're trying to live out here in Joka. Live out in here, Joka. Come on.
Kyle, it's I mean, it's just you got to embrace post-truth politics. It's like the factuality of what you say doesn't matter anymore.
Do you know that JD Vance changed his name 3 times because he assaulted
don't
women?
think a revolution. What was that?
I mean, it's not going to be a revolution in the way you guys are envisioning it, where it's like going to be a fucking bloody, violent
Oh,
revolution.
I got a caller! I got a caller, guys! What?
I
got a caller! I got a caller, guys! It's so exciting! All right, thank you, guys. Howdy. Howdy, what's up?
Hello.
You hear me? What's
Hey,
up,
yeah, are you doing a live show?
yeah, we're live right now.
I want to can I make a comment
What?
about what you guys are talking about?
Which part of what? I forget which thing. You would have heard. I was just chatting. But yeah, what's up?
Oh no, the title is like Trump is bad. It says call me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think they're talking about like abortion and you know this country is split, right? I mean, there's virtually 2 opposing factions in this country, and then you got independents, right? Some people lean a little bit to one side, or some of them lean a little bit to the other. They're more concerned like with fiscal policy and but I think the biggest divide is I think abortion's one of the biggest dividers in this country.
Yeah.
And you have one side that they believe that it's murder, that a baby is a baby in conception, and you have the other side that looks at it from a different point and says, well, it's my body, my choice. And then there's a whole lot of there's a lot of nuances within each side of that. So what happens is you have these two opposing moralities, and people don't even want to come together to talk about the differences. But one thing I will point out, because I'm a pro-life, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just in all transparency, but the fertility rate of this country is very low as a whole. So we do need immigrants to come in, because the people here that have been born here and are living here, even the conservative side, we're not having kids anymore like we used to. Like the conservatives, they're not really aborting them. There might be some that's having abortions, they're not telling you, but we're not having the 5 and 10 kid families anymore.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you have a drop in fertility rate. So here's where I'm going at. If the left is like 100% balls to the wall for abortion, who is going to backfill that mentality, right? And then you got the right, and there's a lot of conservatives that are starting to really procreate. And I mean, like, I know 3 families, they got over 10 children. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you get one side that is so anti, it's my body, and I get all that, right? So you're not backfilling the pipeline, right? So you're actually diminishing your population. Then you got the other side that they're going on a fertility fest.
Yeah.
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So within 20 years, and I just want to bring that to light. What do you think about that? Like, because it's like, I want to be a responsible human. I want to have everything set up before I have kids. Next thing you know, you're 35, 40 years old, and you can only have 2 kids. You know what I mean? Because so if it's just you and another person, you have 2 children, you have zeroed out. You're only maintaining, right?
Yeah, the big thing right now is that, like, in red states, for example, if I know someone, I would recommend not having a kid in those states, depending on what their laws are, because there's women who have miscarriages who don't get the care they need because doctors are afraid of doing anything because the states will call it murder, even if a doctor does a medical procedure, and doctors are scared to be taken to court for a lot of that stuff. So I'm even telling people, like, don't have kids in that scenario, because if your wife, for example, like, imagine I get someone pregnant and we're having a kid, and she has a birth complication, and the doctor won't give her the care she needs because he's like, well, I don't know if she's close enough to being dead for the law to let me give her care, because she needs to be, like, exactly dying for them to administer care. So, like, there's no number on her head that says, like, 10% dead, 20% dead, 30% dead, 50% dead. So the doctor might have to go in when she's 80% dead, or the law will say that he did an unnecessary abortion. So that's one concern that I would bring up. And also, like, if we're not going to care about the environment at all, I know liberals don't want to have kids if the environment's not being taken care of, because there is issues with the climate changing, and farmers are going to know that because crop seasons are going to change. That still is an issue. Insurance companies are pricing in climate change, so are oil companies, because it is a thing that's happening. Even if it's not climate change, there's mercury being shot out of coal plants, which Trump is removing regulations on that. Mercury and other chemicals and cancerous chemicals that these factories are dumping in our water. So yeah, it's not really an environment people want to have kids in, especially in a rich country. And I would say on the immigration part, right now Trump is deporting green card holders and visa holders at universities because they say something that's pro-Israel. I'm sorry, anti-Israel. Sorry. It's not even really anti-Israel. It's just like pro-Palestine. Sorry. But yeah, they're saying things that are pro-Palestine, and Trump administration and Marco Rubio, they're like, oh, that's a thought crime. It's a thought crime. You have an opinion we don't approve of, we're gonna kick you out, which is what, like, China and Russia do. So if we're gonna have that mentality, immigration made this country great. Like immigration really did. If you look at the Irish and the Chinese and the railroads and the research we have today, and now they want to ban Harvard from bringing in students that study abroad because Harvard won't bow down to the federal government's wishes. Like, in this environment, it's pretty. This environment creates a foundation in our society that's going to be, going backwards as far as building things goes. And the tariffs are making trade wars with all of our allies. We're taking a pro-Russia stance versus Ukraine now, explicitly pro-Russia. So there's a lot of reasons why we're becoming more destabilized. But I agree that immigrants have a lower crime rate than naturally born American citizens. Immigrants are very, as far as any population of people goes, even illegal immigrants do violent crime at a very low rate. But we're anti-immigrant now in America because they've been demonized to hell. And yeah, and Biden's bad handling of the border, right? So Biden gave a even worse view of immigration. So I don't know where we go from here because Trump is tanking a lot of our shit with that kind of stuff.
I'm not anti-immigrant at all.
And by the way,
I
don't think Trump's a conservative, by the way.
law
I don't
to
think
be
Trump's a
followed.
conservative. So when I say Trump, I'm not talking about you. I think you sound like a principled
No.
conservative. Trump is not a conservative at all. So I'm not talking about you when I talk about
He's
him.
not. You see, like back in the mid to late '80s, I was young then. The Republican Party hijacked the Christian movement, so they merged into one. And what I noticed, because I went through, I remember my parents driving us to when Reagan was running against Mondale. Okay, that's how far back my memory goes. But then I remember George Bush, the first one. Okay, that's about around the time that the Christians kind of merged and solidified with the Republicans. And then what's funny is it was back then. I remember like You've heard of 2 Live Crew?
Sure.
It's like it was a rap group back in the day. Okay, they were being jailed for profanity at the rap concerts.
Yeah. I remember that stuff. Yeah. Well, I wasn't alive, but I read about it.
Yeah, I mean, I went through it, and well, anyway, long story short, so all these years you would vote, diehard Republican. I'm just giving you my growing up, example. Nothing changed. Like it all progressed to where we're at today. We're all, and sometime in the late '90s, it dawned on me. I'll give you an example. I talked to some congressmen at one time I met. They fight on television, but they all drinking at the bar together behind the cameras. They're all buddies. I mean, there's some of them that's probably really do not like each other, but the majority of them, you got the left here, you got the right there. They're fighting, they're arguing on TV. Then when the cameras go off, they're up in the bars in D.C., Reston, Fairfax, you name it.
Yeah.
They're all in there together,
I know
hanging
people that
out.
had cancer. Like, I remember seeing someone with cancer during COVID asking people to wear masks in the room, and the Republican said no. And this was the heat of COVID. And after the meeting, the Republican apologized to him, and he's like, "I can't be on camera wearing a mask. Like, I don't want to do this around you because you don't want to get you sick, but I can't be on camera wearing a mask because Republicans knew it was an issue for their voters because that was just like a dumb culture war thing at the time." But yeah, I appreciate the call.
Yeah. No problem. Can I make one more point? I don't want to
sure,
take your whole show up or anything.
No, you're good.
But like, you know what? Okay. I honestly think Donald Trump, love him or hate him, I think he's trying to do something good for the country. I really do think that. Does he go? He says a lot of crap, yes, and it's not it's tasteless. But I also think he has an ego, and he's pissed off that they try to jail him and this and that. And I just think he's always been that type of person where he's like the alpha dog. It's always been that way, and he is who he is, and love him or hate him.
He's a whiner, dude. He whines all the time. I've never heard a human being cry that much. Like, I've never heard a grown man cry as much as he does. Oh, life is so unfair. How dare you ask me a tough question? He just doesn't answer questions anymore. But no, like the felonies from New York, he did those felonies. He did do those felonies. He did do a lot of the 2020 election stuff. So those are, I mean, a lot of the stuff. He got sued 4,000 times before becoming a politician. In his business, and
he's a professional litigant,
so.
Right?
Well, there's a lot. Yeah, I mean, he's in there a lot. But I mean, just in general, I just want to look at things politicians do. I don't care as much about what they say, and I think we all need to take a step back and try to, go through party lines and just see where we can come to an agreement. So, like abortion, I try to tell people, like, if you disagree with abortion, I would never expect your tax dollars to go there. But I would say that you could be pro-life and pro-choice. 65% of Americans think there should be no limits on abortion. But there's a lot of Republicans in swing states where they feel safe because they have like a Democratic governor who vote Republican, so they don't care that much. But it's still a vast majority that think abortion should be legal in some or all cases. So yeah, it's a pretty strong issue, and It's really hard to, if you think it's like if it's murder to end, like if you think IVF is murder, for example, because you get eggs fertilized and you throw some of them out, then it's hard to have that conversation. So it's hard to come to an agreement if someone is really hard-lined on, that belief. But yeah, you can respond to that, and yeah, thank you for the call.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. As far as like IVF and things like that, I mean, birth control, I don't have no problems with that. I just think, I believe at some point after conception, I mean, I think it's a miraculous thing that happens, and I get if there's a medical complication and the mother's gonna die, or you got a choice to make. It's a decision I don't ever want to have to make, and I would hope nobody else would ever have to make that. And I think I would feel terrible. Like, I'll give you an example. I've got a 23-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 2-year-old. Okay. The last one, my wife was considered a geriatric pregnancy. This little guy's the best thing that's ever happened. Like, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, but the legal side is the scary part, right? When the government is saying you need to do this, or we're gonna come at you with guns and take you to a jail. So like that's my big thing, is that like women who may be having complications. There's already stories, you could look them up. Like for example, in Ohio, a 10-year-old girl got raped and she wanted an abortion, but it was 2 days past the 6-week ban in Ohio that she was pregnant. So she had to drive to Indiana, and the doctor in Indiana that gave this 10-year-old an abortion, then got like in trouble legally, and like they were calling on the state medical board to penalize her. There's women from South Carolina, Texas, who had to try like I think South Carolina or Georgia, a woman from Georgia had to drive while bleeding out to North Carolina. She died on her way there because no doctors in the red states would help her, because there's a legal team where it's like you go to a courtroom, you talk to a doctor, or you have a doctor there with a judge. If the judge tells that doctor, I don't agree with your medical analysis, that doctor can go to jail and be tried for actual murder, So it's a really scary environment.
Yeah.
The big government controlling that is my big thing, where it's like you can say you think it's morally bad, but it's hard to say because like there's other arguments for why people would be pro-choice to an extent. So like pro-choice up until the fetus would be able to survive on its own, which is after like 20-something weeks. The parts in your brain that allow for you to have any thought or consciousness or even neural impulses in your brain for your brain to function is sometime between 20 and 24 weeks as well. So usually what people would say is for elective abortions, then around 20 weeks would be a number people give. And then for medical abortions, they would say there should be no limits on medical abortion, because if a doctor who's certified by a state medical board makes a decision that they need to do this to save the woman's life, or because it'll be great harm upon the woman, it should not be a judge's decision. It should always be the doctor's decision, just because we can't be, we're not God. We can't make the right decision every time, but we should give the doctors to do what they need to do for people's healthcare,
I hear you, man.
Yeah, but I appreciate talking to someone who because you obviously have your beliefs, but you do sound really principled, which I appreciate, because right now we're full of people who are not principled. I believe a lot of people that call in just follow politicians as like heroes and stuff, and I think that's bad. We should never what's it called again? Idolatry, viewing people as idols, or saying like this person's chosen by God, or this person is God.
Right.
I don't like people comparing a man to God, or saying that God chose that person alone, because that sounds like you're trying to be a king or a monarch who says that your power is from God, or whatever. So yeah, I appreciate that you're principled and everything. I appreciate and sharing all your beliefs and everything.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, I just was scrolling through YouTube, man. It came on your thing, man. So I'll tell you this. Me and my wife, my daughter, they're up looking at college. I got a son, he's about to graduate college, and then one's going into college this year. And we got a 2-year-old now. We were getting ready for an empty nest. And, we got a decent sized house, whatever. And I sit here I'm looking at my son right now. He's watching this little kid cruise show on, they do tractors, whatever. And I'm like, how lonely we would be. And what I'm trying to put a little bit of perspective into everything, because I think we live in a culture now where the convenient thing is to just work on your career, work on yourself, work. It's all about us and this and children. It's painted almost like they're like a baggage, and it's hard. And you know what? Yeah, if you have kids when you're in your 20s or you're a teenager, yeah, you're going to struggle because you're not in. It's not in the right order, But I was 45 when my wife got pregnant with our. If I would have had all my children now, yeah, I would. Like the years of my first two, yeah, they were stressful. Yeah, I was up to my eyeballs in debt, and I was driving beaters, and yeah, it was rough. But yeah, we stuck together, and we're on the other side, and we're blessed with this new one. And I'm like, man, I mean, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to work, not have my wife. She'll go to work. We'll come home, and it's like there's no pitter patter on the floor, no toys. It'll just be like and then people will say, well, go skydiving, go do this. Dude, I can go out to eat at a restaurant every day and it gets old. And then you want a home cooked meal, then that gets old. Then you want to go back to the restaurant, that gets old. And then you want to put flowers in your yard, right? And then that will get old. You dig some up, you put some new ones, that gets old. But one thing that's never gets old is having a little one. This is just me, and it's a lot of people. Having somebody that you can see the innocence in them, and they look at you like you're the best thing that's ever been. And it just fills your heart with love. Because on this YouTube, I see the comments. I don't see love. When I go out in the streets, and people cutting each other off in traffic, I don't see love. I don't feel it. I go to work, the office culture, I don't feel it. But you got this little guy, little girl, whoever, looking at you like, man, that's my dad. That's my mama. Dude, to me, it's just if more people could experience that, I think it would make society better. But
Yeah,
sorry,
I
I don't mean to be.
the issue is we don't our communities and our government doesn't care about people, even compared to Europe's governments and whatever. We talk about cutting taxes and cutting programs, but we're the only country, we're the only first world country that doesn't guarantee paid family medical leave to parents. Other countries guarantee that. Other countries help pay for childcare for families that can't afford it. So we could create an environment that's more friendly and more community oriented and talk about providing for one another. But in America, it's radical capitalism. It's just I want money, I want profits, I want to make profits right now. How dare you ask a billionaire to pay taxes? They're gonna suffer if they're a billionaire and they pay taxes. How dare you penalize them? And it's they should be lucky they're on this earth. They should be lucky they're in this country that allowed them to be so successful. They should pay back into the same system so we can all be successful. Because we work for them, we make money for really rich people. So why don't they pay back into it? But in America, we're just going against those values. And I see this a lot where conservatives focus more on, like you were talking about, the direct family, focusing a lot just on what's happening in your home, which I think, the left focuses more on all of society, right? So you'll hear conservatives talk more about family values or in the home or what they see as family values, but then liberals will talk about equal rights in society or civil rights, and more broad reaching things. I just wish we could find a combination of those that has love and empathy for our families and also our communities, and we can create an environment that's good for building, that people want to be a part of. But right now I feel like we're just going towards more and more conflict. And I would say that the president is probably one of the most divisive people, and not for the best reasons that we've had, including fighting our allies. And I just don't see any uniting message in this country. I hope a leader comes up eventually. I haven't seen them yet, but I hope a leader comes up to prominence who can share that message, so we can come together and find a vision for the future. But if anyone's too hardlined on things, or they can't listen to everyone and they can't change their minds, then we're not going to get any better. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing, and yeah, thank you for showing your passion you have for your family and your kids and everything. And then hopefully we can create a better world for everyone, you know. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing and calling in.
All right. Thank you. You have a good night, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. You too, man. Oh, someone said, I think Kate said yesterday. Kate said I've been too nice. Or not too nice, but Kate said I've been nice. Or someone said I was nice last night. But what can I say? I'm a nice guy. I'm only negative, and I'm only negative in politics because people are happy to send people to death. But like I try to make it clear, like Trump is not a conservative. They are ultra nationalist authoritarians. That's not a conservative. Conservatism believes in the Constitution and rights. Still, if you don't believe in that stuff, if you think due process is just something that's afforded to people you like, if you don't think like due process is for certain people, because you could say, oh, I don't care about them as much, or whatever, or they deserve no due process, then you're not a conservative, and you're not a libertarian either. All these people call themselves freaking libertarians because they're whiny little babies whenever they're not in power. Like, I'm a libertarian, I want everyone to have freedom, and then they get in power once and they're banning words. They're thought policing. They're arresting people over thought crimes now. These dumbass fake libertarians. Very patient recently. I don't know. I just talking to real people makes you think about like what can we can do things better. But politics just sucks.
Call from.
And like that
Logan
conversation is really
Epstein.
nice. It's nice. Howdy.
Hello, is this Jolah?
Yep, it's Jolah Talks Politics on YouTube. What's up?
Hi. So I just had a couple questions, but I kind of just sort of turned on. So I just wanted to really first get your perspective on like a couple big things and like have you say what you kind of feel first, and then we can kind of get into something. Is that okay?
Yep, go ahead.
All right. So I am a Republican, but I do believe a lot in like the environmental aspects of it and like what we can do for our planet and stuff. I do believe how they're approaching it is wrong. Like it's very like oil like centered and like based. I feel like a lot of renewable energies like nuclear could be like implemented. Do you like feel that as well?
Sorry, can you say that again?
So with a lot of Republican like pushing and backing, it's due to a lot of oil and stuff. Like that's major in capitalism. But I, as a Republican, I believe that there are like better means like nuclear energy like fusion. Like we have fission.
Yeah.
So, like,
I would say that we still need to, like, for example, Trump just removed legislation, or not legislation, but a rule today that limited, like, mercury and other chemicals coming from coal plants and a lot of black lung provisions that protected workers. Trump is also eliminating some EPA regulations that companies were trying to spread toxic, cancerous chemicals into the water. And, like, yeah, I don't know. Release toxic chemicals into the water that cause cancer. His administration was suing this company or these companies. And Trump administration pulled back those lawsuits. You can Google those. So like, I think there should be. I think even like Nixon expanded the EPA, sorry. And like, I mean, I definitely am for looking towards nuclear and looking towards other options. But also, I would say that we do use a lot of energy resources that we probably don't need to use. We don't do it in the most efficient way possible. And like China's investing heavily in green energy, like solar panels, and we probably should still invest in that kind of stuff. But I guess I would have to know like what government policies you think are like, I don't know, what government policies you think go too far, what solutions you'd prefer, and whatever else, you know.
I believe that it should be a lot more decentralized in it, that state government should support itself and the federal government can like fill in as it needs to for like the bigger things. So when I envision like a nuclear powered grid, you only need very few facilities to do a lot of states. You know what I mean? So, and you can get it from like hydroelectric dams as well. And those facilities, they drive things like factories, like with that amount of people that would go to them. So like, it's just how states and governments like implement them. And obviously there's a safety risk with it being nuclear, but the more we do it, the more we refine it, the more easier it happens, and the more it can do better, hopefully. Would you agree as well?
I'm sorry, I was just distracted. I just saw that. I don't know, my brain's kind of broken right now, because I just saw the post on Twitter that I didn't see yet about the Bergo Garcia guy. And
Are you good?
Abrego Garcia, miraculously risen from the death camps and tortured, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador. Bro, my brain is broken. I'm sorry. I don't even know what's going on right now. I don't even know what's going on.
You're fine.
This is
I'll
just
let
like
you
crazy
say
news.
your,
I don't even.
I'll let you say your
I
thing.
don't even know. This is just like, yeah, this is just like I don't even know what to think.
It's a good discussion.
It's about this guy from the U.S. that the Trump administration mistakenly sent to El Salvador.
Yeah, I saw that. I haven't actually heard about it. You're the first person I saw mention it. So you want to just tell me about it?
My brain's just broken. I don't even know. So yeah, Trump administration sent this guy to El Salvador, to their max prison, their super max prison. It is a torture camp. I'm not sure if he actually was there or not, considering he's in his baseball hat and everything now. Is Kansas City a gang logo now? But yeah, I don't know. They sent him there wrongly. They've been saying he's an MS-13 violent terrorist gang member and whatever else. I don't even know. I don't even know what to think.
Yeah, and if he's wrongfully there, and it's how it sounds with what you described, he shouldn't be there. I think with how Trump's moving, he's doing things very quickly. So inadvertently, they are making a lot of mistakes. That we should deeply correct those mistakes he's making. So what you just said is not a good thing, and I think the Trump team should work to fix that, because guess what? That was a mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I don't like how they've been calling him a violent criminal MS-13 terrorist without any evidence. That's bad. So yeah, I don't even know what to think. It's so crazy. I can't even give an opinion. The world is crazy. But yeah, I'm sorry, my brain just has to refresh. You could start again with what you're talking about.
I'm sorry.
No worries. It's not your fault.
Okay, I'm sorry. The good thing about it is we're all talking about it, so there's light on it. So hopefully it can be resolved, right?
Yeah, hopefully they don't violate due process and they don't do anything illegal. And the Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that they were doing things illegal to deport them. So hopefully they don't do the illegal things. But yeah, on green energy, like if I had to say like a perspective on green energy, like the Inflation Reduction Act, to encourage the building of battery plants in America is really good for American manufacturing, solar panels and wind farms. So I'm in favor of government subsidies to focus on like reviving industries in America and bringing green energy, which helps us be more self-sufficient, less reliant on oil. So Biden did that policy. It was influenced a lot by like Bernie Sanders. I forget which year the Inflation Reduction Act passed, but that is an example of how to bring manufacturing back. Or the Chips and Science Act focuses on a lot of chips and semiconductors being brought to America. That's also a Biden policy. So I would say that's an actual targeted way to focus on building those industries, but it is done by the government through subsidies, so you need to pay for it. I like it a lot better versus like Trump's tariffs, for example.
Yeah, I haven't actually heard your whole opinion on it. Do you feel there can be a bounce back, or do you view that it's just going to be a bad thing overall?
What is going to be a bad thing overall? Like
the end result, because putting in the tariffs, it's supposed to levy off the dependency on the other countries and to facilitate, growth in our country. But keep in mind, tariffs are effective depending on who or what is implementing them. So if it's a country that has a lot of leverage on another country, like for instance, we do rely on like half our manufacturing from China. Like it's like a fourth, and then it's like another fourth for something else. So we can leverage that very effectively. You know what I mean?
So I would say that the tariffs Trump is doing right now, you cannot find an actual economist that's liberal or conservative that would say they work. They are making us more hostile towards our allies. The EU, Canada, and Mexico are making deals together, and with China, we're pushing countries towards China. We're starting trade wars, which make small businesses die and all that kind of stuff. Like tariffs, like Trump is trying, have never worked anywhere in any country. So you cannot find one example of what Trump is doing working right now anywhere. In his first administration, the tariffs actually increased costs and decreased manufacturing jobs, just because even if you're building new factories and everything, If you're going to tariff those are attacks on the American people. Those are attacks on American businesses. So it makes it harder to build factories in America, actually, unless if you subsidize it on the back end.
In the short term.
And also, if you're going to have a president turn them, I mean, this policy in the long term would give us a Great Depression, to be honest. Like, it would actually kill our economy. It's like putting a 20% sales tax on everything in America. But
he's looking to get rid of taxes for income tax and taxes on servers, and like he's trying to offset it.
Well, getting rid of income tax would kill America too, because income tax means
income tax was never meant to be an actual tax. Like it was brought during World War II, and it was supposed to be just like, oh, income tax for the war, and then it just stayed. It was never actually supposed to stay.
I'm just saying that the income tax is a progressive taxation system, meaning the rich pay more than the poor. If you went to tariffs or sales tax, the poor would be really hurt by that. They take a larger tax burden, so that's why I'm against the sales tax or a tariff. And the income tax is a good thing. It helps tax rich people more. It's a good.
Yeah, I'm not saying it can't help. I was just saying that it was something that was brought during war, and realistically should have been rolled back and became something else instead of staying as the income tax, because the income tax for back then was like 6%. Now it's like 25 or something like that. It's been steadily increasing. We also broke away from Britain because they had like I said, like a 6% tax, but it wasn't something big at all. So the fact that income tax is substantial and there's a bunch of other taxes on top of things, it's a wonder. You know what I mean? Like if you look up the data and you can see what I'm talking about, like the T tax and stuff, it was like 6% or 3%, and the people were still upset. So imagine
in 1913. 1913, the federal income tax became permanent in 1913. It became permanent then. The Civil War income tax was 1861. That was made to expire in 1872. Later attempts in like 1894 were struck down by the courts. But then federal income tax was made permanent permanent in 1913. So the idea that they were going to get rid of it is not really true.
Woodrow Wilson is considered one of our most socialist presidents. You do know that, right?
What does that even mean? Like, you could just say things like that. Like, I could say, oh, this guy's a communist, fascist, socialist. I'm just you have to give actual like descriptions for what he's doing.
He wrote papers in the colleges about how capitalism can be manipulated and stuff.
Okay, I don't care about that. Capitalism can be manipulated. It can definitely be manipulated, and it does. I'd rather talk about the actual policies, because the labels literally.
Yes.
I mean, socialism wasn't even really a prominent. He was not a socialist.
I was just saying that I'm assuming income tax in that sense was a socialist policy because it was put forth by how I view as a socialist president. I want to clarify this. I do 100% respect your opinion, and I do want to hear it 100%. So
Wilson was a capitalist. So
what?
Wilson was still a capitalist, but he wanted more government interference.
Yeah, that's what I meant by that. Like, so you
socialism is when socialism is anti-free markets, though. That's you just don't know what socialism means. Don't say the word. You don't know what it means. You have to do more research. I'm not being mean. You just don't know what it means.
You are. So I just want to keep this all respectful. Okay,
no, I'm not. Okay, I'm not being disrespectful. You do not know what socialism means. Don't use the word.
Yeah,
use the words like progressive taxation.
To me what it is? In your
I don't even know what socialism is. I can't describe it. Usually, it's about worker control over the means of production, or you could say unions are socially democratic. But actual socialism was to kill private industries. Social democracy would be, for example, like George Orwell, who wrote 1984. Or social democracy would be like the Nordic countries, like Sweden and Denmark. But if we're talking about
I do think the Swedish countries do it very well, and so I will be 100%. You are correct. I can't just call Woodrow Wilson socialist.
You could say he's a progressive reformer, right? I
mean it as aggressive as it came.
You could say he's a progressive reformer. He wanted bigger government to regulate capitalism, but like he's still a capitalist, though, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it was good that he got us into World War I either.
I mean, that was more complicated. He didn't really get us into World War One, but.
But let's get back to policy. Do you think I've been very respectful so far?
Yeah, you're super respectful, man.
All right. So, what do you have questions about my policy? Like on anything? Like you might have questions, right?
So I would just say when you look at things like tariffs, you should probably find other examples of like, okay, well, we don't need to recreate the entire wheel in 2025. Has this
Yeah, you're
policy
right.
worked before? Which economists think this is good policy? In my experience, I have
Who are
found
your
zero
favorite
banks.
economists?
I don't even know any economists. I mean, I'm not good at remembering names, but I know
Oh, you're
what
good.
things I believe in,
Continue.
but I don't really follow anyone. I know some people follow Milton Friedman, but like even like I could bring up, for example, um, Professor Wolf is a communist or Marxist economist, I'm pretty sure. He's anti what Trump is doing with tariffs, and so is like Milton Friedman, or Thomas Sowell, who are conservative free market types.
Yeah.
Even Bernie Sanders is against the tariffs. You know, everyone. And by the way, like tariffs don't mean the same as other tariffs. It's specifically Trump's tariffs. And you need to think about if you want to make infrastructure come back to America. These are 5 to 10 year investments. The reason the stock market is crashing because people can't really trust investing in America right now. Because the president can change the tariff policy every single day. A business is not going to make a 10-year investment to move their factories and supply chain, which takes 5 to 10 years, if the president can have a temper tantrum that day and change the tariff rate. So you would need to have Congress pass an actual law with a financial system that can show what the stable footing of the U.S. is going to be for at least 5 years to get businesses to invest back here. And it would take 5 to 10 years too. So you can't just crash the global economy and say teleport your manufacturing back. You need a way to ease off other manufacturing and build it here through subsidies. But Trump never actually gets laws passed through Congress because he's not really a good leader. He is a good like commander though, like a good authoritarian. But he never actually gets laws passed like Biden did. Although Biden sucked at being an authoritarian, but
Yeah. I do hear your point. He might have not had to go through Congress, which I do believe that like obviously Congress makes the laws, and it was originally designed to be how money should be dictated. We have to give Trump credit though. With his little scare, they did have like 70 countries come and like try to put up deals, so that has to help with some aspect to try to
now
combat
here's another thing
what's gonna
too.
happen.
So
Yeah, go
even if
ahead.
you look at how long trade deals take to make, they usually take 1 to 2 years. For example, Trump made a trade deal where he changed NAFTA. It took like 1 to 2 years to make the USMCA, which is with Canada, the US, and Mexico. That took a few years. The idea that a bunch of
And didn't
countries are going
Biden
to
take us
call
out of that?
no, we're
Nope.
still in
Okay.
that. But when Trump complains about a trade deal with Canada, he's complaining about his own trade deal. He's just hoping that you don't understand it or know that he did it.
Hey, I'm
But
here
the
to
thing
listen
with
to you.
like when Trump says there's 70 countries that are calling to make deals, there's no reason you need to tank the global economy other than like a power grab right now. There's no reason you could just contact countries if there's issues and identify actual plans to make with those. And you would not do it all at once, and you would not turn countries away from the U.S. to go to China. We're making like Japan, South Korea, and China work together, and they hate each other historically. So like the idea that we had 70 countries call us, it just makes no sense if you look at any of the information surrounding it. And none of these countries would have any issues. They never would have had any issues if we would have just called them and said, hey, we want this other trade deal. Or like Australia, for example, we have a trade surplus with Australia. They're a big national security ally. Everything about them, we have a trade deal with them. We are still tariffing Australia. It just does not follow logically with any of the actual facts surrounding tariffs or with trade deals.
Yeah, I think you're correct. It doesn't follow logical fact. I think his whole thing is he's seeing what countries bite, and then they go for it, and he's like, oh, you don't like that deal? I don't like that deal either. You know what I mean? I think he's only targeting certain countries, but he was just testing the global place and seeing like what's up, and if they wanted to like make a deal. And the ones that didn't want to make a deal, he knows where they stand. The ones that do, and the ones that quickly did it, also, you know what I mean? So I think he was probably doing something like that.
See, again, that doesn't make any sense though. If he was doing that, it makes no sense. There's no reason to like confidence in the U.S. economy right now. Our tourism from other countries is down 30 to 40% because people don't want to come to America. They don't trust our laws. They don't trust our legal system. They don't trust our ICE agents or whatever. In like Europe, America has a disapproval rating now. We are disproved by people in Europe and Canada and Mexico because we're starting fights with them. And we're becoming less popular globally. That's going to make it harder to get investments and harder to make trade deals. Other countries are losing investments. taking investments out of the U.S. So everything like Trump is doing right now with tariffs, it just it's hurting the U.S. by every metric. It just does not make any sense. They made arguments about bringing manufacturing back. They made arguments about getting revenue for America with the tariffs. They made arguments about making deals and not making deals, and restructuring the global alliance and not restructuring the global alliance, and bringing I don't know, phone manufacturing here, and bringing robot. Like they can't settle on a narrative for why they're doing what they're doing. So it's hard for me to even comment on it because none of it makes that much sense. But if you just like trust Trump, then you could trust Trump. But like you know, it's just hard for me to even have an opinion about those words because I'm like I don't even know what to look at, because in policy we would talk about like which subsidies are targeted in which sector, and or even like or even tax credits. You could give tax credits if someone invests in a certain area. You know, like a Democrat might do subsidies, a Republican can do tax credits. But I don't see Trump proposing anything like a tax credit, which would actually bring manufacturing back. So I don't know what this, you know, I'm not really sure what the plan is, you know.
That is a lot to digest. This is exactly how we're supposed to have conversation. So, point. I do believe that Europe's perception of America could be because Europe still wants to have a lot of like success within its own countries, and America's making a big, strong stand against it. Because keep in mind, this isn't just necessarily a recent thing with the European Union and like all the other countries. Trump's been doing this since like 2016. So like, I'm assuming he is trying to restructure something in a way. You know what I mean? I do not believe. I obviously believe that a lot of the things he's going to implement and stuff, I do believe he's going to take back. You know what I mean? I do believe that that's with anything, but I do believe that what he's doing is he's testing the waters with countries, and if they like stick with something and like are okay with it, well, that's okay. You know what I mean? If they're not, he's going to work with it.
Do you see what I mean though? Like if America's such a big trading partner,
like $400 billion from like at least one company trying to like he has multiple American companies that are trying to come and work, and on top of the other 70 countries that want to make a deal. So that also incorporates different companies within that. He's trying to bring back the medical industry back into the United States because we depend on like Ireland and like China for like our insulin and stuff. Like, so if we ever got into a war with them, like we don't have the facilities to make that. So I do believe he's very. I don't think he's trying to. I think he is, but I don't think he's going to be successful in it. I think he's trying to see how much he can get, but realistically, I think he's just keenly focused on a couple of key imbalances and just making ready and like making up the debt between countries. I do believe he's not wrong about that because he has said it for like 40 years.
No, like the debt between countries, what he says about trade deficits is not a thing at all. It's not true. Like when he says trade deficits are debt or whatever, like that's not a thing. It's just and the companies coming back here, the electronic companies, the chips companies, the semiconductors, that's from the Biden law that Biden passed. That's not Trump doing that. So the things that are working are things that Biden did. So like it's hard to I'm sorry, but like everything you just said, it just like we wouldn't start a trade deal with the entire globe to do this.
Trump put in.
No, Biden had a smaller tariff on like 0.5% of goods coming into the U.S. Trump has a 25% average tariff on every good coming into the U.S. The biggest tax increase in American history by one person.
China tariff right now, I believe, is 180%.
Yeah, but the effective tax rate, I'm saying between all the countries averaged out, it's going to add a lot of cost to American businesses, American consumers. Small businesses are going to die. Trump is killing small businesses for no reason. We're America. We can just call countries and say, let's restructure a trade deal if there's any key targeted areas. The idea we're just going to tank the global market and have countries beg for us is just a power fantasy. It doesn't, like, for him, it doesn't make any logical sense. We're America.
Well, we are the strongest economy.
Yeah, but that even makes less sense because then we could just go and talk to these countries. We could talk to them instead of hurting small businesses in America.
Trump, when we got Trump in office, we also got his personality. I do believe there are more diplomatic ways to approach things, but I do believe he has his own.
It's not about
interrogating-
diplomacy. I don't care about tone. I care about an actual like format for doing this that actually makes logical sense at all. Like what they're doing right now, just it doesn't help any of the things you say you want to help, or like the medical industry. Like you're just taxing Americans for no reason. You need an actual economic policy for companies to do 10-year investments, like I
Correct.
said.
For,
So
like,
the president, we got to get a bill passed through
These are, like,
Congress if Trump wants to
long-term
do this.
Because keep in mind, once the factories are built, I guarantee people kind of forget about them on the political stage, but they're still there in the community. So, like, in case we do go to war, we do have medical facilities and
Okay,
whatnot.
but that is not what I'm talking about. You can have that
Yeah, okay,
opinion,
yeah,
but you
go
need
ahead.
policies that actually do that, right? You need policies that work
Yes.
to get factories here. Trump right now, his tariffs are going to make factories move from the U.S. and be slower to build,
So-
because right now all the materials that you
Can I
need to
say
make
something
the
real quick?
factory, all the materials you need to make the factory are going to be more expensive now. So it's going to slow investments. Companies are going to wait to invest until Trump's gone, and that's why you need actual law and Trump to be an actual
Yeah,
leader
yeah, okay.
to make actual
So-
changes in the economy that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. So I think we just came to a clarity moment for a second. So you believe that, okay, we should be able to tax other countries, but it needs to be passed by law. You don't like.
But we're
how
not taxing
Trump-
other countries, though. We're not taxing other
Well,
countries.
you know what I mean. It has to go through Congress. That's what you believe, right?
We're taxing the American people, right? We're taxing them, though.
Yeah. So how our American tax dollars are invested, it should be dealt through Congress, right? Not necessarily by Trump. That's what you're saying, right?
Well, if you want an actual economic plan, you want it to be long-lasting, so it can't just be through an executive order or through a authoritarian's like pen.
Yeah. Also, you can consider. I'm not agreeing with your assessment. But I'm also not saying you're wrong, because I do believe the man kind of tries to rule with an iron fist. So, like, I'm not saying he does, but you know what I mean. He has that personality of it get his way, but like he does try to go through the legal routes and stuff. I forgot exactly what I was saying, but I do see. I do not believe in a one-party state. Even if I'm a Republican, I do not believe Republican Party should be the one party, because keep in mind, the Republican Party might not always be in favor. So I don't like how strong the party is, because like Trump's not always going to be in office. You know, that's going to split, and who knows what's going to happen from that. You know what I mean? I might be rambling, but do you kind of understand some of the points I'm making right now?
Yeah, it just like I don't know. Most people, if they don't
go ahead.
like research policy or whatever, they can't really talk about like what Trump is doing and why it doesn't make sense, and it's hard to explain it. So like the I don't know, the deporting people on college campuses for their speech if they say something pro-Palestine or anti-Israel, for doing thought crimes. Like right now they're threatening to take news stations off the air if they say something the president doesn't agree with. They want to dictate what is taught at universities and all that kind of stuff. But if that's not like a line in the sand for you, then it's probably not going to be much that's going to make you turn away from Trump then.
No, I completely agree with you. That's not okay, because even if I don't agree with what's happening on college campus, even if I were to believe that what is being said about college campuses are true, the fact that a government is trying to like enforce a news station to not exist, that's not something I want. Like I said, I don't want a one-party state. I can see that either way, we need to figure this shit out as, like, sorry for swearing, but as a two-party system, not a one-party.
Yeah, but
And
Trump is like doing this, and he's extorting legal professionals. He's like
I know.
attacking universities, and he's getting like half a billion
Both
dollars
sides
in free
are bad.
legal services. It's not a both sides thing. This is stuff that Trump is like explicitly doing himself. That's unique to Trump. Like this, like extorting law
I
firms,
think
for
the
example.
party needs to be a lot
You cannot
younger
find
for
one
both.
example. I guarantee you cannot find one example of Democrats using the presidency to extort law firms to do free legal work for them after they threaten them. Like, you cannot find that. You cannot find a Democrat that had a cryptocurrency. You cannot find a Democrat that killed the SEC and let the Hawk-Tuah girl free for her crypto scams. You cannot find an administration that made bribery more legal
Yeah, I don't
in
agree
the
with
cabinet.
Trump letting
So
that
like,
girl go.
there's a ton of things that Trump is doing. Trump is killing the National Labor Board. Trump is killing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Like, this is all stuff that Democrats never even thought of doing, because Democratic voters will hold them accountable. But Trump cannot be held accountable by Republicans, because mostly for Republicans, it's about just like, being aggressive towards people, deporting people, and that's all that matters to them.
There was a congresswoman that she was part of the Boston City Council. She just got busted for corruption and stuff. So that she was a Democrat, and So I do believe both sides need to be held accountable. I think the problem with modern politics is everything is centered around Trump. How about we all actually get centered around fixing issues? Trump isn't always the issues. He just gets attached to everything because he's
But like
the
he
leader
is
of the
the
Republican
issue though,
Party.
because he is like a 90% cult in the Republican Party, so no one
I
holds
know,
him
but he's also
accountable.
like
He won
80.
after like he won
He's
after the
also like
felony
80.
convictions. He won after trying to overturn 2020. He won after he pardoned the January 6 people that beat the crap out of cops and never got any flack for it from Republicans. So like if you're gonna be okay with your president pardoning literal cop beaters that killed cops essentially and
I'm also not
stabbed
okay
them
with
and
President pardoning his son. So I think both parties are awful and they need to be
okay,
changed.
wait. You're comparing Biden to pardoning his son for ATF for him. That's a gun for him, and for back taxes because the Trump administration said they're going to go after him no matter what. You're comparing that to
Well,
Trump
there's
pardoning
more to
hundreds
what
of
was
cop
in that
beaters.
story than what you're saying. And,
No,
and
the
you know
pardons
that.
were for those, but I'm saying like you're comparing that to Trump pardoning cop beaters and saying the cops
No,
are the
what
enemy
I'm
and saying
comparing
Ashley
is-
Babbitt's a hero.
I'm not trying to justify either. So what I'm comparing is an
One is a lot
overall
worse
issue.
though. Nuance matters in
I
life.
find the
Nuance
fact that-
matters.
I find the fact that a former president pardoning his son is highly suspicious, and I find the fact that a president now pardoning people that rioted on the Capitol is also suspicious.
But that's not suspicious though. The Biden one is suspicious, but Trump's is a blatant aggression upon police officers and aggression
I believe
upon
there
our
should be
rule
very
of law.
much transgression, and considering you can't prosecute a sitting president, there's not much we can do about this except, which I guarantee they're already trying to impeach him again. And the more you impeach this man, like it's all before, the more his following grows. So
Yeah, but that's not a good thing, right? It's not a good thing. He does illegal stuff.
Here's the thing. Because keep in mind, the Republican Party right now, whether you like it or not, is very strong. If the Democratic Party wants to have any semblance of having a future in America, it needs to change off of Trump. Obviously, you need to take the issues to it, you know what I mean, and hit it on some merit, because right now Trump is campaigning around merit. Like
Trump is anti-merit. Like Trump is Trump has the
be-
biggest buffoons in his cabinet ever, though. That's the issue with Trump is he's a liar. He has really incompetent people around him. He lied about like all these black people not being qualified. Like Trump is the most incoherent. He's one of the dumbest people to ever be president. But like he's like people think he's judged on merit. He's literally just like a dummy.
Smarter than Trump.
Like it doesn't like Trump wins off of lying. Like Trump actually wins. He won the election off of lying about his policies. That's how he won the
Politicians are
election.
liars. All of them are. We all know that. They don't tell us the truth. So listen, what I'm saying is, listen, if I were to believe everything you're saying about Trump, which I do believe you have a lot to say and a lot is true, okay? And I will say that. I do believe for the best thing for both parties is to move the hell on from this dude, because keep in mind, he is 79. Like, he's starting to do the same thing Biden did, you know? So, like, we need to move on, and the parties both need to
But the issue is, remember, the issue is when Trump lost, he still lies about losing. You cannot work for Trump if you say the 2020 election was actually like if you say Biden won the 2020 election, if you say Biden won the 2020 election, okay, then you could work for Trump. Then you cannot work for Trump. You are kicked out. If you're FBI and you said the 2020 election was like Trump did something wrong, you're kicked out. If you're an election official, you say it was certified, you're kicked out of Trump's camp. Biden when he lost,
I believe
just
in free
handed it
speech,
over.
so
Biden
if
just had a
black
normal
people are saying
transition.
that, they got
But
kicked
the
out,
only
it's not
time,
like
the
you
only
like
time
it.
in America, the only time America ever had our president's our transfer of power delayed is because of Trump. It's because of Trump trying to overturn the election on multiple fronts and still lying about it. There's no comparison between Trump and Biden. And Biden staying too long is different because Biden cares about law. Biden cares about he listened to federal courts, unlike Trump, and he cared about the transfer of power. And Trump is against the transfer of power. And right now, Trump is talking about seizing voting machines. Like he's talking about just completely overthrowing elections in America in general. And this is what happens when you elect someone again who tried doing a coup against the government and a coup against the election. But if you both sides it the entire time, you need to have nuance in these conversations. You can't just say, oh, they're both bad. No, there's one person who's far worse than anyone else was in history, and no one holds him accountable because it's a cult of personality. Okay, both parties change,
okay.
but
I want to clarify. I don't worship Trump. I think men should never be worshipped because I am a follower of Jesus Christ. So I try to discern from both. So that's why I'm open to having a conversation about you and listening to what you have to say about Trump, regardless of what I heard. So like, keep in mind, I'm sorry. With what? You are right. I'll tell you what. To pick out who is wrong, okay? But also, you can pick out who is wrong, have them be dealt with accordingly. But the party and the people that are just like saying, "Oh, Trump this, Trump this, Trump this." Well, why? How do you make people not want to follow Trump? You need to change. You know what I mean? You can't just say Trump is bad because apparently people
but you
don't
see the
feel it's
issue
bad.
though. People like Trump because he wants to dehumanize immigrants largely. That's why people love him, because he's going to defend America, get all the Browns out that are bad and all the terrorists and violent criminals, and he's going to get the deep
Not
state or whatever. He's
necessarily.
going to ban
America is
pronouns.
a cultural
Yes, that's why
assimilation.
Trump's main followers love him. So you cannot win them. I would not even try to get a Trump voter to vote for me, by the way. I would get independents that voted Trump. But actual
Trump
Republicans
was a
who
Democrat
are like, I would
before
not
he
even.
became Republican.
Why do you think that matters? I know he's an elite. He's best friends with Jeffrey Epstein and Hillary Clinton and P. Diddy. So like it's not surprising he's an elite.
They're all friends and they're all screwing all of us. So they're all bad.
No, the point is that when you look at what Trump is doing, you should be able to tell who's worse when two people are involved in a system, and like Trump is not held accountable. So if Democrats are going to win, it's going to just because it's going to be I don't even like Trump does not have any merit to win. No, that's the thing. Trump is not okay. Democrats winning is merit based. Democrats, but the thing is, America had the #1 economy in the world after COVID, but Biden got blamed for it. Like merit is not involved in Trump winning. Trump is not merit. He's all propaganda. Literally all propaganda. He lies about things like after they happen. Like he literally is a cold liar. Like more than any person in American history, he's told more lies than any president. He still lies about the 2020 election. Remember, 2020 election, he lies about everything. So I don't. It's just there's a difference between like Nancy Pelosi's corruption. She was in Congress for a long time, and people talk about her stock trading. Her stock trading is not even 1/100th of what Trump did this year alone, like monetarily with his crypto scam and with all the people he's extorting. Like it's not even close in corruption. But somehow Trump is going to be in the same basket as Pelosi. And I don't like Pelosi either and her insider trading if she is doing it, or how she conducted politics completely. But like I would still say that one is a lot worse.
From it.
Okay, when you say they all benefit from it, I need you to just practice having nuance.
Statement. I'm saying the vast majority because it's been a considerable problem
so,
for a very
for example,
long time.
Trump had an executive order that made it legal for his cabinet to take bribes. Biden made it illegal for his cabinet to get bribes from big money. Trump made it legal again. He reversed Biden's anti-corruption order. So in that scenario, you can see very clearly.
Biden made an anti-lobbying bill?
Yeah. No, it's executive order for the cabinet. Trump took it back. He killed it right away when he got in office. So that's one example of Democrats being very anti-corruption compared to Trump. Although some of them do act in some corrupt way, Democrats still union bust, or not Trump union busts. Democrats still monopoly bust. They still tax the rich more, and they still do anti-corruption mechanisms that Trump is rolling back. So right there, you can see a clear distinction. They don't all do that.
Yeah, I know. I know I shouldn't speak in generalized statements when it comes to politics. I'm just saying that when it came to that, it has been a well-known practice that people make money like they get insider information and then they give money to their spouse or other people's to invest in it, and then they get a kickback on that. That's been a well-known thing.
Trump is doing it directly. The cryptocurrencies, he's probably getting. You can't track who gives money to the cryptocurrency, so he's probably getting paid from foreign actors.
Do you like Nancy Pelosi? Besides, I mean, just as a Democrat, she's pretty good, right?
I don't. I mean, she's not
right?
100% bad, but she's done some good things.
Right? She's not bad, right? Like she's a good Democrat.
I actually don't know enough to say if she's good or bad, to be honest.
The reason why I say it is because when it comes to Democrats, I don't think she's a bad one because she does have a spine. I do think you need to have a spine in politics, but I also when I gauge a politician in like their trustability, I look at what they said in the past and then look at like if they change, they flip flop, and what I find funny is as not just a Republican, but as someone looking in from an outsider's perspective, is like I'm not even necessarily saying that what Trump's policies are right, okay, but like in some ways in Pelosi's earlier career, she adopted tariffs just like Trump. Like she went after China, you know what I mean? But she flip-flopped away, and now she's against what Trump's doing when she preached essentially the same thing. So when it comes to like trustability of politicians, I look at what they say overall and not just what they're saying now. So like here's what I understand about Biden. Biden, like when he was older, he was more senile. But if you actually listen back to like his earlier like stuff, like when he was like a young man, he was the youngest senator. Dude, he was 27. Dude was an incredibly smart and intelligent man, and that did slip through sometimes. Like I just look. That's the person I view. I view them as a whole and what they've presented overall. Would you say that's fair?
Someone asked in chat, executive order number, executive order 13989, rolled back ethics rules for executive branch personnel. 13989, lobbyist gift ban, revolving door ban as well for registered agents entering government and lobbyists. Yeah, so revolving door ban for appointees leaving government, another revolving door ban for a few other things, a golden parachute ban, which is you will not accept any salary or cash payment from a former employee or employer the eligibility for and payment of which
That's
is limited to individuals
I don't
accepting
like
a
that one bit.
position in the U.S. government. I would not take bribes, essentially. So yeah, all these, they rolled back a bunch of ethics rules. So Trump explicitly did pro-corruption policy, like literally he made policy more pro-corrupt, which is insane. And after Biden made it less corrupt, which I don't even, that's crazy.
No, I do agree. That's bad. I can't say it's not. Considering this is the first time I'm hearing about it, I believe you. I 100% do. As an independent like person myself, I am going to look into it. But I'll tell you what, how that is designed and how it sounds, it only leaves room for that. So I will agree. And I don't believe Trump is the greatest at all like policy at all. I believe when it comes to how policy should be done, you don't just listen to one person. So I think he's effective in his approach and how he gets people like on the table. You know what I mean, to come to him. I don't like his rhetoric. I like some ideas from like Josh Harley. I like how he's very directive in it. I just take a bunch from everyone and then I make a more reflective view, like how I feel it should be. You know what I mean? Not just I don't just believe Trump's good, like because no one is truly good.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. But I talked to a lot of very I guess you could say fundamentalist Christian supporters of Trump, and it's hard to get through because there's different belief systems there. But thank you for having the conversation. I hope you have a great night. Thank you for calling in. I hope you call in again sometime.
Yeah.
Man.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, thank you too. I don't know what to do. I'm tired. There's one more person that wanted to call. They sent me a text message. If you're watching, you can call in. You can call now. My final caller. You can call. I'll take you. Then I'll go to bed. I'll go to bed after that. I am tired. Thank you guys for watching. The Kilmore Abrego Garcia thing is breaking my brain a lot. It actually killed my brain in the middle of that conversation. Like my brain is actually dead right now. Like I'm actually. Like, is everything fake? FCC director under Trump, Brendan Carr, very important action by Secretary Rubio today. The Trump admin is smashing the censorship cartel and restoring free speech rights to Americans. Then he followed that up with, he said, Comcast outlets spent days misleading the public, implying Abrego Garcia was merely a law-abiding citizen. We're gonna... why is Comcast against public interest and federal law? Because we don't like what they said. Speech policing.
Call from.
Love it, brother. Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you good. What's up, man?
Awesome. No, I was just gonna say what you're doing, man. I think it's great. It's really hard to talk about stuff like that, or political views and stuff like that, without having opinions. Especially you'll see it nowadays, like it'll tear families apart. And I already forgot what I was going to talk about. You're talking about like terrorists, abortions, and all this other stuff. But it's all crazy topics that, like, no matter your political view, if you're Republican, Democrat, whatever, Like I see it nowadays too, especially with Donald Trump. Like you see it like tear families apart or just they vote. It's a little crazy. But I think what you're doing is pretty good, pretty awesome. But I don't know. I forgot what y'all were talking about last. And like tariffs and somewhere crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, I appreciate it. One of the big things when I look at political stuff, I just feel bad. I feel like I'm seeing people be abused by this administration and also politics in general because people are lied to so much about policy, and it's hard for them to tell who's telling the truth or not. So like I understand policy. I went to school for a lot of it. I experienced a lot of it in real life. I had a chance to work in my state's capital for a decent amount of time. I worked with other, in other areas as well. So I understand policy stuff, and I can go to the mechanic. I could tell if a mechanic's good or not. I don't know how to work on cars, not necessarily. I know some people you can do your oil change and stuff like that, but for other actual things with the engine and whatever else, and I don't know how to do an inspection, whatever. I can still tell if a mechanic is bad or not. But it seems like with politics, because everyone votes on social issues, they can't really tell like, oh, this policy benefits me or doesn't benefit me. And I see people essentially voting away their rights and voting away their ability to organize in unions, and they don't even know it because the politician lies to them about a lot of this stuff, or healthcare or whatever it might be.
Well, that's been going on for decades, though.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if it really reads the bills, like not only before like the Elon stuff too, but I mean, who really reads all these bills whenever they're passing them? I mean, that's what I told my buddy too. That'd be cool to have like an app that would pull up these bills in real time. Like, oh yeah, you can check it out right there. But how many people will actually read them?
They have a thing like that for even state houses. You can get notifications as a bill moves, but no one's gonna actually do that.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, the public too. I forgot what I said too. I gotta apologize for you too. They call you dumb or something like that because even like my father was an immigrant coming up here, and I'm like the second or like the first generation up here. And even then, he did all right, but at the same point, like he didn't really like other immigrants up here, just for how they were or how they treat themselves in public as well. And I mean, I don't know if that's like a culture thing with other immigrants coming into different countries or stuff like that. But at the same point, like at some time, you do got to cut some of this stuff off. And like me myself, I did like 8 years active army, and I think it's just like Germany, like every male citizen should go to the military for so many set of years or a year and a half or something like that, just for the country, and just it makes you mature a little more quicker, and it instills a little discipline in you too,
Well, I went through enough stuff growing up. I had to grow up early, so I didn't really need that. When you have tragedy happen, sometimes you got to put yourself in stressful situations to train yourself how to grow up or whatever. But yeah, it's right now Republicans are explicitly. I mean, I hate saying groups like that because there's some people who are decent, but they're anti-immigration in general as a concept. They are not just against illegal immigration; they're against undocumented. They don't even know the difference. I mean, I know it's complicated, but like asylum seekers, they don't like protective status. They don't like withholding status. They don't like. These are all different complicated immigration terms. But they call everyone illegals, everyone. And like immigrants made this country great, like at the academic level, at the working class level, middle class, like immigrants literally built this country. And when I read into our history even more, I'm even more confident saying that because Republicans will be like, well, no, the immigrants didn't build the country. They literally did. Like the railroads, the roads, the tech, like everything about this country. The reason we've done so well being a free country, because usually it's an authoritarian country like China that can move things around. We've been able to get the talent. Look at the Olympics. We can get talent from every culture and every country around the world, accept them, and they become American. American is bigger than just race or skin color or whatever. We have done a great job being a melting pot. And that's the best thing about our country. And like the Trump admin's killing it. They don't care about the legal path. They don't care about that at all. They're deporting college students for having speech they don't like, doing thought policing. So like it's just insane. It's bad for the country. Immigrants are much more peaceful than naturally born American citizens, and it's just no one cares because they're afraid of them.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, bro. And that's what they're complaining about now too, with the tariffs, especially with the farmers and stuff too. They're like, hey, well, where the immigrants from? We need them, And it's a double-edged sword. That's part of it, So I mean, it's a good idea. Yeah, you come over here for a good life. I understand it. I understand why so many people come. But at some point you got to cut that off. And not only that, but there's something else to look out too, because I got sisters too like this where they'll be stuck on welfare too. They got like so many kids, and I see it with her daughters too. It's doing in the same trap. It's like habit forming. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
the vast
like,
majority of people I knew on welfare used it the right way and got jobs, but it's just like it's 99% or 95% disabilities and everything. So the fraud rate is actually very low. It would probably cost us more money to cut down on the fraud than it would to just like let some people get it who don't need it, and then make sure everyone that needs it does get it. So like I'm very pro welfare. It's good stimulus for the local economies as well. Like Europe gives cash to people. They don't even have like SNAP or anything. Like they just give cash. So I mean,
well, have you been to Europe? I lived in Germany for like 3 years. It's pretty dang nice. It's really nice.
yeah, but it's
Oh,
a
that-
high trust society. Like they'll give money to people rather than just like give welfare like we do in America, and they have better outcomes there. They have less poor people, they have higher social mobility, they have better healthcare, they live like 6 years longer on average than we do. And in America, it's all me, me, me. You know, I'm not going to give back to the community because they think the government's evil, so they don't trust the government, so they don't participate in it, and therefore the government's going to be taken over by corporate interest and big money if the people don't actually like learn about how it works. So we're going a pretty bad direction because of that.
You're not lying right there. You're not lying. You're not lying. I think it's most civilians, even me too. We're just more obsessed with what's going on in our world, our family, right then and there. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't got time to go to the city meeting or go see what Senate's talking about. Like we don't got time to do all that stuff, you know. And
Yeah.
no, it does tear people apart and makes it a little crazy. That's what I'm saying, man. What you're doing right now is pretty good. I know you probably get a lot of flack from it too, from the comments or even talking to people too, stress you out a little minute.
Yeah, they're all Russian bots for real. By the way, guys, if you haven't seen it, the school shooter from FSU, Florida State University, is a Republican Trump supporter, son of a sheriff's deputy. He used the sheriff deputy's gun. He quotes the Bible on social media, and he makes fun of anti-Trump protesters. And he's not trans or an illegal immigrant, but he did shoot up a school. So
Wait,
I guess all white
know
people
those are
suck
the-
now, right?
the
Using that
early-
logic. Using MAGA logic, all white people are evil. That's what they do with immigrants, right? Did they get due process? Did the people who died there get due process? Like, you fucking...
Nobody ever told you grade somebody by the value of their character, not the color of the skin. Like if they're a piece of shit. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't curse on it. If they're a dirtbag, they're a dirtbag. You know.
Well, that's the
They
issue,
are- they
though.
do
People
tend
see
to
a
be
brown
wrong,
person
man.
on TV, like they say, "Oh, this immigrant did a crime." Now it's the fault of every immigrant in America, whether
People get stereotyped. I've been stereotyped before. It happens. You know.
Yeah, but the issue
You
is
don't
not just
just-
stereotyping. It's when they're sending
Yeah.
innocent people to like a foreign prison, or they're sending innocent people to being detained, or they're taking U.S. citizens and detaining them and sending them off somewhere. Like that's when it gets bad. Is when the government uses the stereotyping as government policy to arrest people.
Are you talking about the Maryland guy, the Maryland father, or whatever
Well,
his name
no,
was?
actually, he is one of like 100 cases we have of people who did not have any evidence of them being criminals, and they were here on legal asylum seeking grounds, who were sent to El Salvador. There's actually a kid that came out today. He was ripped off the plane last second, and I don't know if he's a kid, but I forget his age. But he was ripped off the plane last second. He was able to go to court, and he's now staying in America instead of going to the El Salvador prison, because in America, or because he was actually able to see a courtroom, and in the courtroom there was no evidence of him doing anything wrong or being a gang member. So like due process for these people to save them. So these are hundreds of people that are innocent, and we sent off to a prison in El Salvador. So
Well, every case varies. You know what I'm saying? I can't say it's true or false for
well,
the
okay, here, look up these then. I'm going to bed soon, but look up professional soccer player Venezuela. He was tortured by electric shock, escaped their dictatorship, made it to America through a legal port of entry. There's the gay makeup artist. There's the barber. There is the guy with the autism awareness tattoo. They said the autism tattoo was a sign of a gang. There's a 19-year-old kid and a 19-year-old. They accidentally took into a van, like a 19-year-old. They shipped to El Salvador, who was the wrong guy. They still took him. There's tons of instances of this happening.
I'll let you in common law around the world. They don't accept gays, not around the world. Some countries do it. They don't do it around most of them.
Well, in El
Yeah.
Salvador, we'll probably just get beaten and raped, so it's whatever.
I mean, it is what it is. And some, whether
Well,
it's
when the U.S.
religion or-
government is using accusations and stereotyping to send people there, that's the issue, right? With no due process. So that's the big concern.
I did just want to tell you, bro, you're doing a good job. I think people like you, bro, are going to go out there. Like, y'all should be the next running for senators. Like, if y'all can have these conversations or debates with people on live who are going to be crazy and outrageous, then I think you could do it right there in the public setting, bro. And honestly, it's hard to get up. Like most people have the the fear of talking in public, and especially when the pressure's on you and it's on the nation too, or on your beliefs and other people's beliefs. I think like it's going towards people here that are really talking, that really have values that everybody else shares as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words. I appreciate the call.
Yes, sir. All right, now it's the first time calling in. I know a few times I had some stuff I didn't really disagree with, and I mean, there's nothing that's what makes us people, or good people. You know, you can sit down, even though you disagree with some of the, whether they're politicians, whoever's in charge or whatever it is, but you can sit down and talk about your values and have a good conversation, not be mad or yelling at each other, nothing like that. You can find some kind of middle ground, you know, and that's what makes it better. I think, I don't know.
Yeah, I wish that was a thing, but right now it's all about fight, fight, fight. Every country's going through this, so hopefully we come out of it without too much casualty or violence. But yeah, thank you for the call. I hope you continue stopping by the channel, and yeah, feel free to call in again sometime, man.
Heck yeah, I'll subscribe, man. Happy Easter. Y'all have a good weekend.
All right, happy Easter. Have a good weekend. Thank you for calling. Have a good night, man.
Yes, sir. You too. Bye-bye.
Oh, I'm tired, guys. Someone said I have low energy. I do have low energy. I'm sleepy. I am Sleepy Joe. I am Sleepy Joe. Thank you for watching. Please drop a like and subscribe. If you want to donate to Jolah Politics on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. You know the drill. Thank you, thank you. Someone donated today, I think. I see one thing. Who donated? Thank you, Sri, for a gifted membership. Thank you, Sri. Thank you, Sri. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everyone thank Sri in chat. S-R-E-E. S-R-E-E. E-E. Okay. I'm gonna go in Discord for a little bit if you guys want to go hang out. There's like 10 people in there talking. Here's the Discord link for whoever wants it. I might hop on later if I feel like it. I might just go to bed. I don't know. I'm kind of sleepy. Sleepy Joe runs the party. Wow. Yeah, I'm tired today, dude. Seeing that Kilmar Abrego Garcia thing broke my brain. My brain is still broken. I have no idea. I cannot comprehend what's going on. It's like, are these propaganda plants? Are they not propaganda plants? What happened? What happened? What happened, dude? I really don't know. Because Bukele said in the message, like, is it a purposeful plant to shut down the pressure? Wait, never mind. Okay, they dressed him up. Now that he's been confirmed healthy, he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody. So they give proof of life. They're trying to do propaganda. Okay, this is what's probably happening. So Bukele said, essentially, Bukele just retweeted this. Ha ha ha. So basically, they gave him a chance to have a dinner or a drink with the senator, okay, and they got him nice clothes and a nice hat, okay, and shoes, jeans to make him look good, to be presentable, to be proof of life, okay. They're using this as propaganda to say the prison's not that bad. So when someone says, oh, they're being sent to a torture dungeon in El Salvador, then now people are going to say, well, it's not that bad because look at him, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, bro. It's not that bad. Now, Bukele has literally reposted like 50,000 posts in the past few minutes. Poor wife beating El Salvadorian. Based. Like, look at all these retweets, bro. Look at all these retweets. Crazy. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, miraculously risen from the death camps and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador. So they turned it into a coordinated campaign for propaganda. So, got him, yeah. Little trolling. Ha ha ha. I don't know how you beat this level of propaganda, to be honest. I don't know how you beat this level of just deceitful, fake messaging. I just don't. Who's this guy? Official White House account, assistant to the president and White House deputy chief of staff with a chess piece. They're talking about this like it was Kendrick Lamar during the rap beef versus Drake. No, they're talking like Drake. Like, so based. Chess. I love chess. I love chess. It's like, okay, so Democrats are out here caring about due process, the Constitution, proof of life, making sure the government is not just accusing people of being terrorists with no evidence and shipping them off wherever they want, okay? And Republicans are like, how can we make this propaganda? How can we make this propaganda? We're going to dress him up, say, oh, look, the torture dungeon is not that bad. It's actually not that bad, bro. Look, he's alive. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is alive. Miraculously, risen from the death camps and torture. And by the way, you can tell him, for example, like, hey, you better not mess up during this arrangement or we're going to make your life hell. Like, we're going to make your life hell if you come out here and make a scene in front of the senator. You're going to tell, like, they have someone sitting with, like, do you see what I mean? Like, and now they say they're going to keep him in their custody, call it a chess game. So they focus on propaganda. Democrats focus on actual issues. And propaganda wins out much of the time until actual issues hit. So like COVID, 2008 recession, when there's big collapse when there's a big collapse, people turn back to Democrats. But whenever things are like good and there's propaganda involved, Republicans win. So like that's what I take away from this. They call this checkmate. This is so funny. The 9-0 Supreme Court ruling is so funny. But I don't know. I don't know. Single-handedly trolled the entire legacy media machine. Everything's just like a meme. Everything is kick, or like everything's a meme. TikTok, everything's fake. Like that's the point of authoritarianism. You make everything seem fake. And it's like he can't talk here. What is he gonna say? He's gonna go back to the prison. Like, well, he's not dead yet. He's not dead yet. He's not dead yet. It is scary because the propaganda is so powerful. It's just, I love chess. I love chess. I love chess. So now we could be like, oh, it's okay to violate due process and it's okay to just, who cares about the Constitution, bro? We can call anyone a terrorist. Let's send homegrown. Now we can send homegrown people there because it's so nice on the tropical island of El Salvador. Let's send homegrown terrorists there, bro. Let's just violate all the rights in the Constitution, brother. GG's. Good thing there's presidential immunity. You could do anything, basically. As an extension of the president. Very nice. Very nice, brother. Okay, guys, have a good night. Get some damn sleep. Get some sleep, guys. Good night. Thank you. Drop a like, subscribe, donate to Jolah Politics on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal if you want to support the channel, etc., etc., etc. I gotta get some sleep, man. All right, good night, guys. Good stream. Oh, I hated tonight. Thank you for watching, though. Thank you for the stream. Thank you, guys. You're idiot. Playing with people's lives. Yeah. Someone said never happy. Yeah, I'm never happy when bad things are happening and the Constitution is being torn apart and no one cares. Yeah, I don't like that. The core issue with the Abrego Garcia case is not like he was illegally deported, violating the Constitution and courts. That's the big point. Is the government can disappear people if they accuse them of something. Like that is the main point. It's not about him. It's not about the person, you know? There's the two courts thing. The two courts that found he did not have sufficient evidence to be labeled a member of a gang. The informants being someone who, the cop that said he was MS-13 said it was from like New York where he never lived. And that same guy got fired a month later for paying a sex worker for services and informing people. And also he wore a Chicago Bulls hat. That's the evidence they say is sufficient to send him to a foreign prison with no due process. Just take him into a van, ship him off. That's what they think is good enough evidence. And now someone's saying his wife accused him of domestic violence where that was never found to be true. It's an allegation. It was never continued in court. And I don't know why all these people, whether he did or didn't, whether he's illegal or legal, the point is he should have a chance in court before he's shipped off to a foreign prison illegally. Like, the law should matter. Believe it or not, the law should matter. He was not MS-13 when picked up. That was never corroborated. That was actually never proven, by the way. No court documents. There's a reason the Trump DOJ let him stay in America, because they could not find a connection. And they still cannot find a connection. He still has 0 criminal record, by the way. But it's whatever. They don't like brown people. It's fine. All right, guys. Have a good night. Judge ruled he was a gang member. That is not what the report actually said. If they ruled he was a gang member, they would not have given him the status they did and the permit. There's a reason the Trump admins, DOJ, let him stay in the country. They would not let a violent gang member stay in the country, by the way. Let alone someone that should be classified as a terrorist. Again, the court case gave him withholding status in 2019, let him stay in the country. He was here legally. He was not an illegal immigrant. He was not an illegal immigrant. I don't know why I'm correcting people that don't care. They just don't like brown people because they deny a basic fact. They don't even go read the court cases. They just believe whatever plastic Barbie Pam Bondi says. Okay, guys, have a good night.